keep working online to get your claim in, you will be getting your money.
And really quickly before we go, speaking about that stimulus money, the help from the government, do we know when that's going to be in Texans' wallets?
Sure, the money going directly to Texans should start arriving as early as next week. That's what Secretary Mnuchin said. And so those who file their tax returns with a direct deposit on it will be getting it wired into their bank account.
We got a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. There's a ton of news that you have to know, and there's a ton of news that you should really know right now. So continue watching because you don't want to miss out on this. So New Jersey residents have until the end of the year and the end of next month of January to apply for a tax program. It could save you so much money and give you $1,500 in your bank. So the application for the Affordable New Jersey Communities for Homeowners and Resistance Program has been set up for January of next year. So these payments are actually big amounts of stimulus cash. President Biden has also passed a new bill. It's for the Social Security Administration. He released several important details on how to receive the next round of cash. So you may be eligible to receive an extra $100 this month as well. A crucial date for stimulus checks that millions of Americans must watch out for is fast approaching. The new year means a new Congress will be sworn in with Republicans taking over the House. Not a single Republican supported the American Rescue Plan. It was passed in January, but still, the American Rescue Plan gave us so much stimulus cash and actually $1,400 in the bank. And this comes as the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan advocacy group, has been calling for one-time $1,400 for stimulus cash. The group sent a letter to Congress last year stating the cost of living has actually combined with inflation, and it's going to hit hard for older Americans who are on a fixed income. And the group is pushing for Social Security recipients to receive a $1,400 emergency stimulus check just to cope with this unprecedented inflationary year. Social Security benefits are one of the few types of income in retirement adjusted for inflation, and soaring inflation is taking a toll on household finances of retired and disabled Social Security recipients. So in 2021, while Social Security benefits increased, raising the average benefit by about $20 a month is the number. 86% of Social Security recipients surveyed told the Senior Citizens League that their expenses increased by more than that. And about 65 million Americans receive Social Security benefits every month, making it most widely available the form of federal financial support. And with such an extensive distribution effort needed, the SSA sends out its monthly checks in 3 waves. The SSA is paying out on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of every month. If your birthday is between the 1st and 10th, you will receive the payment, and also the next deposit dates are December 21st and 28th. For recipients of SSI, there will be another payment arriving in December, but it's not a Christmas bonus. The first day in January falls on Sunday, so the usual SSI payment is being brought forward by 2 days. Joe Biden already signed the bill to avert a rail shutdown after lawmakers raced to pass the measure amid concerns over the economic dangers about the state. And the House of Representatives already passed this bill, and the Senate must pass it on Thursday. Signing the bill ends a difficult rail dispute and helps our nation avoid, without a doubt, what would have been an economic hardship and catastrophe. Our nation's rail system is literally the backbone of our supply chain. A rail shutdown would have devastated the economy. And without action, a rail strike could have become a reality as early as December 9th, causing shortages, spiking prices, and halting food production. So according to a collection of business groups, it could have disrupted commuter rail services for up to 7 million travelers a day and the transportation of 6,300 carloads of food and farm products a day. One complication in the effort to pass a bill had been a push by progressives to add a provision to the agreement related to paid sick leave, and on Thursday the Senate failed to pass the House passed measure into paid sick leave again. Biden acknowledged the failure to pass the provision and vowed to keep pushing for paid sick leave. In his remarks Friday, Biden said, "I know this bill doesn't have sick leave that these rail workers and frankly every worker in America deserves, but that fight isn't over. I've supported paid sick leave for a long time, and I'm going to continue this fight until we succeed." And also thank congressional Democrats as well as Republicans for passing the bill. He said it's the right thing to do and save jobs and save so many people's bank accounts from going broke. And it's good to see President Biden do what he promised the American people and send out stimulus checks, but I hope he does more things like this in the future.
A more critical topic to end this summit on. We're facing a global food crisis, and nowhere is it felt more keenly than on the African continent. Last year, nearly 120 million people in Africa faced acute food insecurity. And only halfway through the 2022, the drought struck and the food costs soared, in part due to Russia's unprovoked war against Ukraine, and the number increased to 140 million people facing acute food insecurity in Africa. Today, famine once more stalks the Horn of Africa. High food prices and high trade barriers are taking a toll on the lives and livelihoods of millions of people across the continent. And conflict, climate change, COVID-19 continue to compound the impacts of the global food crisis for all countries around this table. And the challenges we face are both clear and they are urgent. That's why this year alone, the United States has committed nearly $11 billion in humanitarian and food insecurity assistance. As I said when I came to what Congress and the President can do to fight inflation, Americans have two potential paths forward. The first is my plan, a Democratic plan put forward by congressional Republicans as a second alternative. Here's how each of us would tackle inflation. My plan is to lower everyday costs for hardworking Americans and lower the deficit by asking large corporations and the wealthiest Americans to not engage in price gouging and to pay their fair share in taxes. The Republican plan is to increase taxes on the middle-class families, let billionaires and large companies off the hook as they raise prices and reap profits at record amounts. And it's really that simple. But let me explain why this choice is so important. Let me start with the Putin price hike, high gas prices, and energy prices. My plan is already in motion. I led the world and other countries to join with us to coordinate the largest release of oil from our stockpiles of all the countries in history, 240 million barrels to boost global supply. Here at home, U.S. oil and gas production is approaching record levels. In fact, we produced more oil domestically in my first year in office than my predecessor did in his first year. To further drive down prices, my administration is allowing the sale of gasoline using homegrown biofuels this summer, which wasn't allowed before. And to reduce our dependence on foreign oil and reckless autocrats like Putin, I'm working with...
Across the United States, many drivers are dealing with historically high gas prices. Before the world crisis, fuel prices were already on the rise, and the crisis overseas has only pushed them up even further. To offset this, the impact of the gas shortage, President Biden announced that over the next 6 months, 1 million barrels of oil will be released for the nation's strategic reserves each day. At the state level, governments are proposing and passing legislation to provide direct relief to residents. These proposals vary widely from fuel tax holidays, like those in Connecticut, Georgia, and Maryland, to direct cash payments, like in New Mexico. Additionally, various states aiming to increase ridership on public transit systems have cut prices by up to 75% to give commuters more options that do not involve using their cars. Now, Connecticut is one of the 3 states to